Our next speaker, Ed Adams, from the ABA Journal and multiple other American Bar Association multimedia properties.
Wait for a second. The cameraman, which side is better for you for me to be on? This side or that side? Either one? All right.
Are we ready?
I'm ready. This is a story about a rock and roll road trip I took last fall. I and some colleagues of mine set out to find the future of legal journalism. Now, if you're going to go look for the future, you better know where you're coming from. And this is where I come from. I am an old-fashioned newsman. I've been a reporter or an editor since I was 14 years old. And I love the printed word. But words on a page or even words on a screen are no longer enough to tell the really big stories in the internet age. And you may recall that in the fall of 2008, there was no bigger story than the meltdown on Wall Street. In just over a year's time, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost half its value. That's a cataclysm from which the world and the legal profession is still recovering. And in just about 15 months' time, 10,000 lawyers and other legal professionals lost their jobs. And those are just the ones that we could count at the big firms. Probably the total carnage was twice that number. Well, when this was happening, the readers of my magazine, the ABA Journal, really only had two questions. Number one, what's the legal profession going to look like once this Great Recession ends? And number two, isn't there somebody, some sort of, I don't know, legal superhero perhaps, who can point the way forward and show us what the day is going to look like when the recession is over? Well, as a matter of fact, there were a lot of those superheroes, and we called them legal rebels. The ABA Journal set off to profile 50 of the leading innovators in the legal profession. These are people who are remaking the practice of law in their corners of the profession all over this country. And the first decision we made in that project was the smartest decision. We asked our readers to tell us who they thought was a legal rebel. Now, we thought we might get, I don't know, maybe a couple of dozen suggestions. We got more than 250 names from our readers, of people that they thought were rebels. We knew two things. Number one, we were on to something, a good story. And number two, we were on to something about a different way to tell stories. Our readers told us about people like Patrick Lamb, who quit his job as a partner at a big Chicago law firm to start his own firm, where he thought he could service his clients better, faster, cheaper, and have more fun doing it. Or Rod Palmore, who as general counsel of General Mills, took diversity seriously and forced the firms that he hired to use minority attorneys on his projects. There was also Jeff McGrath, the Santa Monica, California lawyer, who runs a coffee shop where you can order a side of legal advice along with your morning mocha cappuccino. Now, when I told my colleagues that we were going to do these 50 profiles and every profile was going to have some sort of video interview or audio podcast or photo slideshow, none of which the Journal had ever done before, they kind of got a little concerned on their face, right? But then they really freaked out when I told them, and then we get an SUV. And as a matter of fact, what we got was a very big, black, badass Lincoln Navigator. And me and my colleagues, Molly McDonough, Rachel Zahorsky, John McQuiston, we took off on the road for 2 weeks, driving 1,000 miles from Boston down to Washington, D.C. And every day, we stopped and visited with a new rebel, posted his or her profile online along with a video interview. But we also invited our readers to ride shotgun with us. We had a live webcam on the dash so that people could tune in whenever we were in motion driving down the highway to our next location. We had a map online so you could locate us at any moment during the tour, 24/7, down to the block. And we also had, at the end of every day, a video tour diary where we told people about the folks we had visited and the places that we had been. And this whole project was shot through with social media. We were on Facebook and Twitter. We were on YouTube and Flickr and other services. And what amazed us was our readers wanted to travel along the road with us. They sent us questions, they sent us comments and suggestions, and they interacted with us as we took this tour with the rebels that we were visiting with. It was a different kind of journalism than the one that I was accustomed to and I learned when I was in school. Our readers posted more than 2,000 tweets about this project during its 4-month run, and this is one of my favorite ones. And it points out one of the added benefits of this project for us, which is people looked at the ABA differently because of it. You know, a lot of people think bar associations, they're old-fashioned, you know, they're part of the past, they're out of step with today. Nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, that's why this project, along with our stay-at-home colleagues, Reg Davis and Stephanie Ward, landed on the cover of Associations Now magazine. It's because associations, bar associations particularly, can help lawyers create communities of interest around topics that they care about. And that is absolutely vital, ever more so today in this highly siloed, atomized world of the internet. We created a community, not just with our 50 legal rebels, but with the tens of thousands of lawyers who wanted to learn from them, who wanted to emulate them, who are already like them, all across the country. And we think we did it with a different kind of legal journalism. Legal journalism that involves multimedia, that involves social media, that involves participation by our readers so that we're not just talking to them, but they're talking to us. It's about a conversation. You know, in a lot of ways, this kind of legal journalism, which I think we're going to see more and more of over the next 3 to 4 years, is a lot like rock and roll. You know, it's improvisational, it's innovative, anybody can participate, and you never know what you're going to find at the other end. We think that, you know, maybe when we go out on the road this year, we'll invite Mick and Keith along for the ride. Thank you very much.